Sometimes this can be a new paper crafter's nightmare, but it doesn't have to be. Hi everyone, it's Sherry. I hope that you are having a wonderful day because today I am going to start helping you through it. Stay tuned. Welcome friends. Thank you so much for being here on such a beautiful day. I truly appreciate the time that you're giving to me and my channel. It helps. And thanks so much for all of those positive comments of support and encouragement. Please keep those types of comments coming. But before we get started, I wanted to let everyone know that I have a limited number of mystery boxes available for sale on my channel right now. Like so many of you, I have started 2025 by cleaning. And I have a lot of items that I'm destashing, so I've created some mystery boxes. They are for sale on my website right now, but before you purchase one, please make sure that you read the product description on my website so that you will know some of the things that might be in your mystery box. All of the things that I have listed won't be in every mystery box. So that's why it's important that you read the product description on the website so that you will know what some of the items you might be receiving are. As a new paper crafter, and maybe as a not so new paper crafter, this often is one of the most challenging things when deciding to make a project, and that is, how do I mix and match those patterns? Well, today I'm going to show you how I look at mixing and matching patterns, and we're going to start with something very simple. And I'm probably going to turn this into a series so that we can start with the easier patterns and migrate towards the more complicated patterns that might be out there. I'm going to flip to my overhead camera, take one main pattern, and show you how we can mix and match that in so many different ways. So here is the print that I'm primarily focused on today. Now, when you buy a double-sided paper, usually at the bottom it's going to have a bar like this, especially if you buy it in a paper pad. And this is telling you that this paper will work well with this print. But when you buy a pad, this paper will generally work well with probably 25 to 30% of the papers in that book. But in this case, I bought a single sheet, and it's telling me that this paper is this on the flip side. So they've already decided for me that this paper and this paper are going to work together. Now I have two of these, and I'm going to be using these papers in an upcoming project, and you will see how beautiful the end result is. But you can see on the flip side that these two papers do actually work very well together. And here's why they do. First of all, black and white generally complements most of the prints and the patterns that we're going to be working with. It's like putting on a black dress or a white dress. You can dress that up with so many different accessories and look wonderful. But the reason why when you look at these two, they complement each other so well. First of all, you have the black leaves of the flower as well as the little black specks throughout. And that immediately ties these two together. And then we have the larger, more vibrant colors. So when our eyes look at this, we're seeing all of this together, and then we pair it with this, and it all just flows. And usually stripes will work well with almost any of our patterns that we're using. So if this stripe was a blue and white stripe, it is not going to work well with this at all. And the reason why is it's competing with the print on this paper. So when you're deciding how to mix and match your papers, you want to make them non-competitive. You want to make them complement each other. And that's exactly what this does. Now I'm going to bring in this piece. And of course this piece is going to work because it's immediately picking up these greens. Even though it is a very muted polka dot paper, it is picking up these pale greens in this paper. Now this for some people is a big leap from all of this to this color. But if you feel like you need to bring these two together even more, you can take a nice thin band of some color, whether it's the black or the darker pink or even a lighter pink, and you can place that down, and that's going to tie these two together even more. But even if I didn't put that band there, y'all, these work well together. And it's just a matter of getting out of our comfort zone and trying new things. For a lot of us, we grew up during the time when matching was critical. Shoes had to match, your jacket had to match, your shirt had to match. You shouldn't have on plaids and polka dots. It should match. It should be nice and simple. We don't have to follow that rule in our paper crafting. We should break those old rules and try something new. Now, when you're looking at this, if you're at home, this should be complementary to the eye when you're looking at how these three work together. And even if I remove this, it still works. But when you put this in, it cleans it up just a little bit, just enough to probably make this acceptable to anyone who would probably not think that these two are going to work together. So let's keep our black strip handy because it might come into play later. So this one is not a solid print, but it works with this as well. And that's my whole point, is to show you how this one print can work with so many different patterns. Now when you look at this, you might think, ooh, that's a little bit busy, but it's not. And you know why it's not busy? Because this is such a pale color, and then the image that's on it, it's white, and it just blends in. So to the eye, we don't have that competition going on. We have what would appear to just flow right in with some of the colors. But again, we can take that little black strip and we can create just a little bit of separation so that if you think this is a little bit too busy, we've now added that little tiny strip of separation that says, oh, wait a minute, this does work with this. We have this green and white stripe. It too is going to work, and it just works because it ties in to the colors. Again, we're using stripes, but we're using a larger block of stripes, and this works because the eye isn't competing. We don't have boldness over here and then the boldness over here, and the two bold patterns or papers are trying to compete with each other. No, this is very soft. It's very muted. It has stripes, but we're pulling in those light white stripes that will actually force the eye to look more at this muted pale green and tie that into all of these colors here. But again, if you need that separation point, you can bring in a strip of black, you can bring in a strip of this dark pink here, you can bring in a nice complementary third color that is going to separate these two if for some reason it feels like it's not working for you. But again, I want you to trust me. I want you to know that these do work together. This is what I do on the channel all the time, and I'm constantly getting the comment that my paper choices are beautiful. And I am mixing and matching like this all the time. Most of you already like it. Now we just need to step out of our comfort zone and start looking at those paper patterns differently. You see me use this plaid a lot. This plaid is definitely going to work with this because again, it's a big bold block, but it's black and white, and this has black and white in it, and it plays well together. And I am going to take this little strip here and put that strip there. These two patterns are not in competition with one another at all. These two patterns are both bold, but we have that black and white, and then we have these floral prints, and if we need to, we can break it up with a complementary thin strip here in the middle. So don't be afraid to take a pattern like this and use it on some of your florals. Then we have this pattern here. It's black and white, so yep, it's going to work, and it just takes us in a different direction with the finished look of the project. But we have the floral and the grunge. This is a very grungy paper full of words and phrases, but this definitely works. Again, if you need to, you can take that black strip and you can put that black strip there to tie everything in. But word papers tend to work with a lot of the patterns that we use. Our paisleys, our plaids, our florals. It's going to work with that pretty well. Now, here's a large polka dot sheet. I think you can probably see immediately that this is going to work with this paper because we can still flow from these two pale shades of green into the pale greens that are on this one. Now, polka dots and florals always work well together for me. And when we add that little black stripe in, so you can see how adding that black stripe again just complements the look of this paper. And this just demonstrates that we can take our larger prints, such as the larger polka dots, and tie them in to a print like this because we're not competing. We're keeping the eye in the same color arena. So even though we don't have any pink over here, we generally don't have the colors over here that aren't over here in some form or fashion. And then just to soften the transition just a little bit, we have this black strip. Now what I'm going to share is what I would consider a competitive paper to this one. They're both going to be florals. There will be a tie-in of some of the color, but they don't work together, and here's why. You have two very competitive floral papers. Both prints on these are very large flowers. Even if I was to take my little black strip and put it there, that's not going to tie these two together because when we look at this, we see this one and we see this one. And y'all, for me, these two prints really don't work well together, even with my little black strip here, because there's just too much competition going on. My eyes are like, where do I go? Am I looking over here or should I be looking over here? I'm not looking at them together. I'm looking at one or I'm looking at the other, but when I look at them together, it's unappealing to me. It's confusing to my eyes. It is not saying, oh my goodness, this is beautiful. It's really screaming, why in the world did she put those two together? Just imagine if you had on this shirt and these pants. This would not work at all, even with that black belt. It is not going to work. So what we want to try to do is we want to make sure that when we're matching papers, we're complementing those papers. Even when you're using a paper pad, not all papers in the paper pad go together. There are certain papers in the paper pad that are designed to go together, and then there are certain papers on the whole other spectrum in that paper pad that don't work. So this is an example of how not to match those papers. Now I want to show you an example of when floral on floral actually will work. Now this paper, you might think, that doesn't work, but it does. We have very tiny flowers on this one and very large flowers on this one. These flowers are pink and black. I can very easily take my little black strip and put that down, and this is going to work. Why does it work? Well, it works for several reasons. Because this background paper here, the background color, just ties into how these flowers look. And then the little tiny florals on this print, they're just an accent. They are not a distraction to this side of the paper at all. They actually stay within how these little flowers here look. So it's not a competitor. These are very small. They're screaming, I'm not a threat to this print at all. Use me, use me. And we should. But if you feel uncomfortable about using something like this, again, use your separator piece. Your separator piece does not have to be black. It can be any color that you choose that is just going to tie everything in from one side to the other. When I look at this, my eye is not confused about where to go. I see this all as one. So I'm going to bring all of these back in. This was our main focal piece, and you can see that it worked with all of these papers here, as well as this little strip here. So I hope that this has helped you, even if it's just a little bit, on how to match those papers. And don't forget, if you are in doubt, just bring in a third, maybe solid strip to help tie it all in. And remember, I have mystery boxes on sale right now if you are interested. So I hope that this has been helpful. I will be doing this a little bit more often using different patterns, different colors, and we'll be mixing and matching so that we can all get great use and great enjoyment from those beautiful papers that we purchase. And remember, there is no such thing as an ugly paper. It simply hasn't found its right project yet. So if you're not a subscriber to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. So hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you'll know when I upload a new video. As always, my friends, please be safe, be kind, and be the reason someone smiles today. Happy crafting, and we'll chat later. Bye.